I grew up as an only child in a small city. My family background was ordinary, not poor but far from privileged. I wasn't a top student, nor did I attend any prestigious university. By chance, I entered the internet industry, earning less than the average salary while enduring far greater pressure than most. After years of hard work, I finally felt that my life was beginning to take shape. But before I could catch my breath, my parents' health began to collapse. My father was diagnosed with cancer. At that moment, my mind went completely blank. I took leave from work and accompanied him from one hospital to another, Beijing, Shanghai, anywhere that offered hope. We booked expert consultations, attended multidisciplinary meetings, and tried every expensive medication and treatment we could afford. Whenever doctors said, "This works well and has few side effects," I agreed without hesitation. For a while, his condition stabilized. The man who was once told he wouldn't live past the following spring was still here. But the pain never truly left him. Long-term use of painkillers caused hallucinations. He grew paranoid, believing someone wanted to harm him, often speaking nonsense. At night, he groaned in pain, unable to sleep, and I could only sit beside him, keeping him company. At first, we would all cry when hearing his moans of pain. Later, we grew numb. We tried every method of pain relief, but in the end, all we could offer was gentle massage and words of comfort. Whenever the pain became unbearable, he would calm down just a little when I pressed his aching spots. My mother, worn down by exhaustion, eventually fell ill too and was hospitalized in another city. Because I took so many days off, I ended up on the company's layoff list. To be honest, even if they hadn't let me go, I probably couldn't have lasted much longer. When you're an only child with two seriously ill parents, it feels like the entire world is collapsing around you. I had no choice but to beg relatives from my hometown to help. At first, they were willing. But as time went on, I could hear the impatience in their voices. Whenever my father was lucid, he would call me, crying and asking, "When are you coming home?" No matter how I tried to comfort or explain, he just kept crying. From the fragmented updates I got from relatives, I pieced together the situation at home. My father in constant pain, refusing to sleep. My mother, hospitalized again from exhaustion. My relatives, frustrated and overwhelmed. The medication had clouded my father's mind. He often said, "Stop the treatment," or "Just let me die." Caught in the middle, I had to comfort my father, soothe my relatives, send money, and say thank you. They always refused payment, but their silence said everything. It's not that I didn't think about hiring a caregiver, but my relatives were firmly against it. They said other patients who switched to caregivers didn't live long afterward, and they saw it as a bad omen. They believed only family could provide true care. And for someone like my father, suspicious and afraid of strangers, they were probably right. Sometimes my mother, filled with resentment, would say to me, "See, he always favored his side of the family. Look how that turned out. Now that I'm past 30, my body is no longer what it used to be. I get tired easily, small illnesses pile up, and my spirit has been stretched to the edge. Late at night, when everything is quiet, emotions always come flooding back. I think about the plans I once had. To save enough money, switch to a less stressful job in a few years. To buy a bigger apartment with my partner, one with a study, a cat tree, and even little cat paths on the wall. Back then, I truly believed that if I just worked a bit harder, I could finally get closer to a stable life. I even thought about having a child, to give her a safe, steady home, so she wouldn't have to struggle the way I did. I was a sickly child, raised under strict and conservative values. I was taught that it's a blessing to suffer losses. But as I grew up, I realized how much that belief had cost me. Introverted and unskilled at social maneuvering, I was often ignored, excluded, and misunderstood. After taking so many detours, I finally learned how to fit into society, to be what people call a normal adult. But fate never really let me go. Just when I thought I could finally breathe, life found another way to remind me, "You're not allowed to rest yet." So I told myself again and again, just hold on a little longer. But now everything has fallen apart. After losing my job, I started feeling a dull ache in my chest. I went to the hospital, but the doctor said my heart was fine. During the day, I comforted myself, at least my body still seemed okay. But at night, I couldn't help thinking, if my heart really stopped one day, would that finally mean no more pain? I even began planning my own funeral, thinking that maybe my small savings could pay for my parents' medical bills. But then another thought hit me. If I left, wouldn't that be even more irresponsible? Still, the despair is real. All the plans I once had have been shattered. It's not that I didn't try. It's just that the force of fate is too strong. Sometimes I simply can't withstand it. The version of me who once had plans, hopes, love, and dreams, now can only whisper in the dark, "Just hold on a little longer." When I was little, I was healthy, full of energy, always running, jumping, eating well. My grades were good. My parents never had to worry about me. Compared to the children of their colleagues, I saved them a lot of money by getting into a key high school on my own. But I didn't do well on the college entrance exam and ended up at a second-tier university. My parents comforted me, but there was disappointment in their voices. "We thought you could get into that well-known first-tier one." I lowered my head, feeling ashamed. In my second year of high school, I developed severe insomnia. I was constantly exhausted during the day. My ranking fell from the top 100 to over 500. I could hardly focus in morning classes. I didn't get along well with classmates, rarely spoke, and couldn't fit into their little groups. The loneliness and pressure were suffocating. Later, a few male classmates began bullying me. They joked about dirty things, teasing me more the angrier I got. One even sneered, "If you understand what we're saying, that means you're not innocent." That day, I went home crying and told my parents everything. My father asked coldly, "Did you do anything wrong yourself?" I was so angry I slapped myself across the face. They both went silent. My mother cried with me, but all she said was, "I can't do anything about it either." One is my father, who is terminally ill and could pass away at any time. The other is my mother, who has a chronic condition and requires regular treatment. And I, amid all of this, have lost my job. My mother needs a follow-up visit every 2 weeks and has to be hospitalized for a few days each month. A relative has been asked to temporarily look after my father, but his condition is like a ticking time bomb. I have to be ready to step in at any moment. I've started to calculate carefully. How long can my savings last? How should I divide next month's expenses, medicine, hospitalization, daily living? But every time I do the math, it feels like life is reminding me again. There has never been a way out for me. Sometimes I can't help but ask, why? Why do poor families only seem to grow poorer? I've worked so hard, tried so desperately to make life better. Yet my parents never take their health seriously. And in the end, when they fall ill, I have no choice but to give up everything to care for them. I can't just leave them alone. They're my parents, my childhood support, the softest place in my heart. But when I truly have to care for them, the pain becomes unbearable. It's not only the exhaustion in my body, but also the helplessness. Watching them suffer right before my eyes, and knowing there's nothing I can do to change it.